Hi there everyone, my name is Herkeph and I've decided to do something incredibly stupid, that thing being creating a brand new hardcore world, but with a twist, and in this new world, I am only allowed to use wooden tools and leather armor, nothing else. After a few world creations to find an interesting seed, I found myself in a mesa biome, right next to a pillager outpost. If this isn't a good sign, I don't know what is. I decided to bolt in and ignore all pillagers, which wasn't a problem at all, since they have worse aim than a drunk stormtrooper. I quickly looted the chest inside and found myself a horn, which I used instantly to establish dominance over some random NPCs. I then noticed that they had 4 scarecrows set up, which is going to be our only way of getting carved pumpkins, and since we actually need carved pumpkins for some farms later on, they're probably one of the most valuable things I can find in this world. Therefore I decided to ignore them and run off. I then ran into a ruined portal and found myself a clock. I then continued exploring in hopes of finding myself a village, but found another ruined nether portal instead. Yay! However, this one actually had obsidian, which is very useful. This is when I decided to chop down my first tree and craft my first tools. I also decided to make myself a boat so I wouldn't have to walk like a peasant. I continued riding my luxury yacht until it became dark, which was when I realized that I may be screwed. I did, however, find myself another pillager outpost, right next to another pillager outpost. I ran up to one of the pillager outposts and stole some of their wool to make a bed. I then remembered that pillagers can't aim and decided to clown on them by stealing their precious carved pumpkins. I ran off and crafted my first bed and slept. A friendly neighborhood cannibal then showed up and kindly informed me that he had been staring at me the entire time I was sleeping. I was flattered and gave him a light spanking and ran off to kill a few animals. I then ran over to the other pillager outpost I saw and decided to let their iron golem out its cage as an epic little prank that went too far, no clickbait. I then killed the iron golem and collected his innards. However, one of the pillagers managed to catch me in the act, but thankfully his crossbow didn't have enough knockback to hit me off the glorious 3-block dirt pillar I had built. After a bit more exploring, I actually managed to find a village. I then decided to kill the iron golem in the village and stole all the food I could get my hands on. I then spent the night killing all the creepers I could see to get my hands on gunpowder, which we would definitely need for rockets once we got our wings. And in the process of killing creepers, I also managed to find a lava pool, which would be our ticket to hell. I constructed the nether portal and placed planks in hopes of it lighting. I took a screenshot of the coordinates for the portal and started looking for another fortress, which I found pretty much immediately. Once in the fortress, I collected all the blaze rods I could get my hands on. Once I had collected enough, I bravely decided to retreat in a very heroic fashion. However, the tall spooky men had other plans for me. They rushed after me, eager to share their hypothesis that my mother is homosexual. I said no you and ran off. I made my way back into the overworld and fell asleep in the forest like a true alcoholic, but actually woke up quite early, unlike an alcoholic. I then started my journey back to the village and stumbled upon yet another pillager outpost. I stole the carved pumpkins and the contents of their chest and ran off once again. I made it back to the village I found earlier and decided to give the friendly wildlife a quick bath out of pure goodwill. I then started sorting the item that I actually wanted to keep and which items were disposable, collected some wood and made myself 6 shovels and mined all the clay I could see along the nearby river. I later traded them for emeralds and leveled up the village cleric to get my hands on some ender pearls. Once I had 16 pearls as well as a few stacks of arrows and a bow that I bought off a Fletcher, I decided to go around and spread the love in this world by offering more of the wildlife a refreshing bath during the daytime and gathering the innards of creepers during the night. Now that I was completely ready to take on the end, I started making some final preparations and crafted up some eyes of ender to locate the stronghold. I then realized that I had gone a very long way from spawn, which could potentially come back to haunt me. Nonetheless, I started my walk towards the stronghold, which honestly wasn't as far away from the village as I had thought. I did, however, manage to destroy 5 eyes of ender on my way over. And I noticed when I arrived that the stronghold is precisely below an ocean monument, which could have made this incredibly annoying. I decided to go and try to get some milk to remove my mining fatigue, but stumbled on a desert temple, which I happily looted for potential gunpowder and TNT. Thankfully though, I did manage to find the stronghold slightly to the side of the monument, so I didn't have to deal with the mining fatigue during my great excavation. I managed to find the portal room somewhat quickly and noticed that the frames didn't have a single ender pearl, though luckily I had actually found another pearl in the stronghold chests, meaning I had just enough to activate the portal. I then put a chest down and filled it with all items I didn't need to bring to the end. I crafted 4 axes, set my spawn and jumped into the end. I spawned underground, which allowed me to provide you with the best possible content, that being mining endstone with a wooden pickaxe. Roughly 2 hours or 7,200 seconds later, I emerged at the surface and started taking out all the towers. Then began the exciting gameplay of waiting for the dragon to stop fapping around and descend, to then spank it with a fragile wooden paddle. Eventually, the dragon succumbed to my overcompensating glorified stick and gave me a bunch of green balls. I then immediately bolted to the end gateway to start end raiding. I set my render distance to 32 chunks and changed my FOV to Quake Pro and headed off. And before long, I managed to find myself an end city, though it didn't seem to have a boat, which was rather soul-crushing, though when I got closer, I did see a boat, which restored my will to live for a split second. I pillared up and stole my first elytra of this world and killed some shulkers in hopes of being able to bring some shulker boxes back to the overworld with me. I then proceed to jump straight into the void, thinking I could use the rockets I had grinded for before going to the end, only to realize I hadn't crafted them yet. I did, however, manage to land and craft them. I then went on to end raid and miraculously managed to survive. I then made my way back to the stronghold with the loot and started looking for the library to grab all of the bookshelves I could get my hands on. This allowed me to once again provide you with the thrilling content of slowly breaking blocks, in this case of the bookshelf variety. And there you have it, the first episode of my incredibly stupid hardcore world. I hope you enjoyed it. Please leave a like and subscribe if you did, and I'll see you in the next one.